The Beast Warriors will rise again. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I'm doing a little speculative video, we'll call it, looking at Beast Warriors because I do believe this type in general has a really solid chance of and potential to be a really good type in the future competitively in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're going to be going through a bunch of the more generic cards that you'll find that support the Beast Warrior archetype and can end up being a tool in almost any Beast Warrior deck that could just be usable there. And then we'll look at some of the decks that already have a chance to be good now and also like in the future. Just with one more little wave of support, all of them could have a chance at being a competitive deck once again. So, Beast Warriors, very, very cool. Let's start with some of the generic cards here. First off, we've got this. I mean, there's a Rota for Beast Warriors. How many decks actually have a Rota? Warriors and Beast Warriors. Cool. That already makes like any Beast Warrior deck possibly like a huge consistency boost. It also makes Tenki a possible banlist card in the future. I mean, we see Rotas at 1 now just because that card is too good at multiple. We'll see if Tenki becomes a problem as well, making Beast Warrior decks, any generic Beast Warrior deck that plays lower level monsters, very, very consistent. We'll have to see, but just a huge, just amazingly huge buff to any Beast Warrior deck. Next up is Tanku. This is another Firefist card. This card just gives you an additional normal summon for a Beast Warrior every single turn. So yeah, and maybe there's a way where you just want to play like a Firefist engine just to help get these cards even, and then you just kind of go from there. We'll have to see. I mean, it's still, at the end of the day, this is just a double summon, but it's a double summon every turn, which is also different because it applies a certain pressure to your opponent where they know they can't leave this up because they know it's going to be a possibly like game-ending extender on the next turn and every turn that you have for the rest of the duel. Next up, a very, very strong card that I'm still personally very surprised that this card has not been abused yet in Master Rules 4 is Reborn Tanku. If it leaves the field, you special summon another copy of itself from the deck. That's so good. It's not once per turn, so you can just take link one off, special summon a second one, link that one off, special summon a third one. This card is a +2, assuming you never draw multiples. Very, very good. I'm very surprised this card has not been abused yet. We will see if it comes, becomes a little more abusable coming up, but I believe it will be at some point. Very, very good, just as an extender. Next up is Kaiser Voice Raider. Now, this isn't too much. I mean, he's raw extender. I mean, he's just a free special summon, a free Beast Warrior on the field. Nice stat line. If you can kill something, he'll go up to 2,400, which is kind of nice. And, yeah, I mean, it's just a nice card. Nothing crazy here. Pretty middle-of-the-road card, but it could be the kind of extender that, depending on the archetype, all it needs is a couple extenders, and this card can fill that void. Then we get to an extract monster in Firefighting Daruma Doll. This card is very good at removing back row. The problem is you have to target one of your own spell and traps as well as your opponent, so you're trading a 1-for-1, kind of like a Diamond Dyer, kind of like a, oh man, what's his name? The Phantom Knights, rank 4, I can't even remember his name. Whatever, I can't remember his name, but or rank 3, sorry. But he's very cool. He gets a buff when he kills anything by battle. He gets to add a Beast Warrior back from Graveyard or Banished, which is also good. That can be a +1 straight up. And yeah, he's nice. He's really, really nice. I think he's been low-key underappreciated and could come up with a couple decks we'll talk about later. Diamond Direwolf, just another card. This card was amazing for a while. It's not that great anymore, but it's still, I think, decent. It's a 2,000 beater, and in a Beast Warrior deck, trading another less important Beast Warrior for an opponent's monster could actually be pretty good. You save a possible pop for next turn, as well as you keep a 2,000 beater on board. So I like him a lot, and I don't know if he'll ever come again. It's targeting destruction, which has never really been the best form of removal. In fact, it's probably the worst form of removal, but it works. It gets the job done. Next up, we have a very, very new monster. This is Naglfar, Generator Boss of Fire. Now, he really doesn't do too much, and unless you're running a specific deck that can get him out with ease, he is a level 9, so he can be tough to summon if you're not playing a deck that has ways to easily summon Beast Warriors or just any monster. So it depends on what archetypes come up to make use of him. But he's a 3100 beater, and while he's on the field, if any card you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one generator monster or a Beast Warrior monster you control instead. That's also kind of nice because it does destroy instead of like tribute. A lot of effects like this will tribute, but there may be some cards you control that if you destroy them, they float and give you like extra resources back while also getting the protection. So you pick what you want to destroy, and you can possibly get a float off of it, which could definitely come up. And then the 3100 is very, very big in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. So I like him. I think he's actually pretty good, and maybe he'll come up as a one of in a certain deck. The field spell for generators also can just like turbo him out pretty easily, so that's pretty cool as well. Next up is Manticore of Darkness. This card I don't expect to be too crazy, but I actually think it's interesting because during the end phase of the turn, he's sent to the graveyard in any way. I mean, you could Foolish Burial him, and then on the end phase, you just have to send a Beast Warrior, Winged Beast from your hand or field to the graveyard to bring him back. So in a way where he doesn't really actually do much. He doesn't have removal. He doesn't plus you in any way. He does, maybe if there's a Beast Warrior deck that wants stuff in the graveyard, that could be nice in a grindier match, just being able to trade a beater on the field for a beater, like get him out as a beater and as cost to like maybe like get a Beast Warrior from hand or field in the grave. That's where they want to be. Depends on the archetype, obviously, but I thought it's interesting that like every turn, if your opponent outs this monster by sending him to grave, you just get to bring him back by like just discarding a card essentially, which is pretty interesting. And I don't think it's crazy. It might be too slow for modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's something to just keep in mind, right? And then we have Fire King Avatar Arvata. I know there's a lot of text here. Real quick though, what this card does is it's a walking monster negate. If a monster effect is activated while this card's on the field, you can quick effect negate that effect, and if you do, you have to destroy another fire monster on your that's in your hand or on your field. So if it is a Fire Beast Warrior deck, this guy could just be super nice at just negating a monster effect. I mean, monster effect negation is at an all-time premium. It's the best form of negate. It's an 1800 beater. Pretty nice card. Don't sleep on it. And then lastly, is this lastly? No, I have one more after this. Cattle Call, very nice card. It's niche. It's a very, very niche because it's a -1, right? You have to send a face-up monster to the graveyard, and you use this card just to get a Beast Warrior with the same type from the extra deck out, but it's effect negated, and it's going to be destroyed on the end phase. So it doesn't become a beater. It doesn't become it becomes a beater for one turn, essentially. So if you're not making use of it, obviously, this would only come up in like a very, very specific situation. But when it does, maybe it could be winning games. I don't know, but it could come up. Just something specific that I thought was interesting. And then Big Cattle Drive is the last generic card I want to talk about here. This card's pretty cool. If you control a Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monster, you draw a card for each of those types you control. So if you just put a beast monster on field, it's just a draw one. Of course, it says you cannot activate other spell or trap cards or effects during the turn you activate this card. That is pretty brutal. So like that could hurt, but I believe if you just get like 3 Beast Warriors on the field and activate this, you're going to get to draw 3. And even though you can't activate spells, maybe there'll be a Beast Warrior Stunish type deck where if you can get 2 or 3 out of draw, you can just draw into a bunch of traps and you can just set them. Right, or you're at least holding resources for next turn for strong follow-up plays. It's a huge plus. Anyway, it has the potential to be that. I'm just not sure. It depends how good it'll be, how reliant that deck you're drawing through is reliant on spells and traps, right? That's what it's going to come down to. But still a very nice card. Could definitely be an insane draw card. It's not once per turn. Well, it is once per turn, the fact that you can't activate another one. But, yeah, it's just insane. Then I move to some archetypes that are very interesting so first was Lunalights. Some archetypes that are very interesting with Beast Warriors coming up. First off is Lunalights. We have Kaleido Chick here. She's very, very interesting. Well, not she, but the archetype is very interesting. This deck was like arguably the best deck in the game for a little bit, but then they hit some stuff on the ban list. They hit Nightmare Mermaid, making this deck a little bit worse with Orchist. But now you see this deck, some of these decks, you still see some people running it with Orcust. You see some people running it without Orcust. Just the pure variants that have actually been fairly successful. It's just a strong deck with some non-once per turn effects and with some cards that can just loop and just get you very, very strong pluses and stuff and open up possibilities for playing, you know, other utility cards because you don't have to run a ton of Lunalights. So very, very strong deck. Probably the best Beast Warrior deck at the moment. Next up is Firefist. This may be the premier Beast Warrior deck ever. I mean, like, really, which is pretty cool. And we just got a whole new wave of support for this deck. Pretty good support, especially with how much the deck had been power crept by current Yu-Gi-Oh! But this is a really nice buff to it. It does some cool things. It's a little bit too combo heavy at this point and doesn't set up quite strong enough boards, but I really think, like, with this support, it's in a strong spot where, like, if any other maybe generic Beast Warrior support comes out, or maybe they decide, like, let's give Firefist like 2 more cards. If they're good, it could push this deck into competitive relevancy, but we'll have to see on that. Very cool deck though. Bujin's just got a new Link Monster confirmed. I don't think the Link Monster make them anything crazy, but it's a nice Link Monster for them. It's nice. That's what I'll say about this card. And we'll just have to wait and see if the deck gets any other support. Deck has a lot of different cards, so maybe they may just go, let's give them a wave, right? But it's had its time where it's been like relevant, but it's not there anymore. Maybe it'll come back in the future. Yosenjus as well have gotten a couple of new cards fairly recently. They have a new Pendulum Monster. I think, is it like a new trap and 2 new spells? It's like 5. Oh no, and there's like 2 monsters. I think this deck got like straight up like 5 new cards recently, and they're actually pretty nice. I've seen some people online that have said like they do it online and like this deck has totally gotten underestimated because it actually can do some pretty powerful things going second to just rip through boards. And sometimes people aren't ready for it, and they can just get decimated in a quick turn. Game's over, right? So don't sleep on Yosenju, especially if any other support comes out. Next up is Gladiator Beasts. Now this one's different because I understand you may say Gladiator Beasts are not a Beast Warrior deck. Correct, they're not a Beast Warrior deck, but they are a deck that plays, that possibly, depending on the build, almost half of the monsters they run are Beast Warrior. It won't be a full Beast Warrior deck, but they have extra deck monsters that are Beast Warriors, like Tamer Editor. They have main deck monsters that are Beast Warriors, multiple of those, and they already have a Rota of their own. Combine that with Tenki, they could be very, very consistent if maybe Konami decide to give them one more like new like normal summon that maybe is like, what if they gave him a Stratos and it happened to be a Beast Warrior and it's the best starter card in all of Gladiator Beasts? Like, you may sit here and just go like, well damn, let's get that guy. Like, I want to get that guy, so why not play 3 Tenki, 3 Gladiator Proving Ground, and like you just see that card so easily. That's 9 copies of that card right there. Who knows? I mean, who knows? That's all I'm saying. It's just keep your mind open, right? And the last deck I want to bring up here is DUDX. This is the most important one by far. This is the only Beast Warrior deck. I mean, maybe you could have argued when Firefist were in their absolute prime, they might have been tier 0, but I think most people would agree that they're probably tier 1. DUDX was straight up tier 0. One of the very few decks to actually be tier 0 at some point in Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, a handful of decks, but this deck is insane. It has, I think, 3 different cards on the ban list. Broad Bull and Dryden are both completely banned, while Rat Pier is at 1. If like Dryden were to come back at like fully, and like Rat Pier were to go to 2 even, then this deck immediately becomes, in my eyes, a playable deck. I don't know if it'll be tier 1 for sure, but it will absolutely be playable. People will be able to play this as an engine because it actually does something. Dryden is removal / disruption, whatever you want it to be, which is insanely strong. Rat Pier, just having another copy of Rat Pier, just one more copy, not only makes it more consistent to see, but also makes it more powerful because it just specials another copy of itself. And that's like insane. It makes for like actual like legit like link plays possible in the deck with its own package, and then just support it with a couple of maybe generic good cards, and this could be a legit deck. This is definitely one to watch out for, especially when I say for this video talking about why Beast Warriors could be good in the future. This deck could be it if they ever decide to just like take some cards off the ban list, give them a chance, and they could immediately like show you why they were tier 0 at some point. this is the last deck I put here. I've realized literally during this video that I might have missed a little bit of something, and that's Senka. So I'm going to actually look it up real quick. Let's look up Yu-Gi-Oh! Senka, because we already have confirmed for the next set a new archetype called Senka. They are all Beast Warrior based. They're winds and waters. They're pretty interesting. I wouldn't say they're amazing so far, but they do have some nice effects. And combine that with future support, because this is just the first start. I think it has like 10 cards in its deck now. I want to say it has like 7 monsters and 3 spells and traps, so like literally 10 cards. They're interesting. I won't say they're amazing yet, but they're definitely a deck to keep your eye on, especially when we're talking about Beast Warriors and the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! I really think there's like multiple decks here. Like we already know, like we were just talking about, Lunalights are already competitive. If any cards come off the ban list for DUDX, they could almost immediately become competitive. Even if they didn't bring Dryden off the list, if they brought just Rapier, it would just make at least link plays open, and then it could just be a catalyst for link plays, which we've seen can be good. And then like Firefist, as well as like Yosenju's. There's a couple of other decks where like just a little bit more support and they could be there. A little bit, maybe just generic cards. Maybe the decks just need to be figured out a little bit more, and they could be much more rogue and actually be able to top events and stuff. I just think because of some of the Firefist cards being a little bit generic, and some of these support monsters and stuff being like pretty good with almost any Beast Warrior deck, really opens the deck up for a strong possible future showing in the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Scene. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this down below. I definitely like making these videos. I like going through generic support for like different types, and I'd love to make more of these in the future if there's some types that are like not very like super present at the moment. Obviously I'll stay away from the ones that are like super obvious, like spellcasters, warriors, dragons, fiends. I'm not really worried about those 4. They're like always show up in like some way, shape, or form. But like the more lesser known ones, I think I've done videos on like zombies and insects before, and now Beast Warriors, and maybe I'll take a look at some other ones in the future as well. They're just really funny videos, not funny, fun videos to do, to make, to research, all that stuff. And I like sharing with you guys, showing you guys maybe something you didn't think about, because we're all so wrapped up in the quote-unquote stale format and stuff, and this shows you a little something of why you should think brightly about the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! So guys, like I said, let me know your thoughts down below on Beast Warriors as a type as a whole. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. If you saw this video and you liked it and you want to see more like it, go and subscribe to the channel. I love you guys. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Peace.